All right. Live on YouTube, allegedly. Says we're live. Anthony Prohaska from Cover One in studio. We have cocktails to get to right off the bat. Special cocktails to have here. So raise a glass. Cheers to you, gentlemen.
Cheers.
And Drew, you're going to have to let me know if this is any good.
Ooh. All right.
Has a bit of an oaky afterbirth.
There's something. Did you say afterbirth?
Yeah, I don't know what that's.
Afterbirth's not a thing I want to taste
Which
in my drink.
I think it's from The Office. I think Michael Scott said it.
There's cinnamon in there. I can taste cinnamon because I hate cinnamon. But it's light. It's nice though. It rounds out and it doesn't leave a lot of the burn. What am I drinking right now?
So there's a special cocktail for a special moment. Not that happened earlier in the week, and it happened today as we bow out the Toronto Maple Leafs out of the NHL playoffs.
Yes.
And
Fuck 'em.
Sheldon Keefe getting fired today.
Oh,
This cocktail is called Toronto.
it's delicious.
Awesome.
Thought this was a Mountain Dew Baja
And-
Blast, but still good.
Also, we have to get to this. Anthony, I don't know if you can put the dots together on this. When we set you up to come in studio, sometimes it doesn't go as planned.
Sometimes someone can get like so loud that the software shorts out.
Yeah, we've had that. What about, I think you were going to be our first guest when I moved in with Jessica, and I got COVID.
Yes, that is absolutely 100%
There's
true.
a thing that happens.
Every time.
We almost had it happen again because I'm going to tell you about my Wednesday.
Oh, no.
So Monday and Tuesday I cooked.
Oh.
I think I made steaks for
Ooh,
Jessica.
fun.
Tuesday we did burgers on the grill.
Ooh, living it up.
Having a rough week. She's having a rough week at work. I'm off of work all week.
Nice.
And so she's like, well, let's go out somewhere. Where do you want to go to eat? And I go, why don't we go to OP Social?
Oh,
So we went down to OP Social, had dinner. She had fish tacos. It was Wing Wednesday, so I got the Cajun lime wings.
oh, were they good?
Delicious. And then we went to watch her son do his learn to play lacrosse.
Oh.
Came home in time for the second period of Florida and Boston. Made myself a cocktail. And then went to bed at like 10 o'clock. And 12:30, I am up. And I have a weight on my chest. It's like how we felt as a country collectively when Biden got elected.
I knew it.
We
I
were
knew
like,
he was going to do politics again.
oh,
I knew it.
I can't. So I'm freaking out. I have it literally feels like a 20-pound weight on my chest, and I don't know what to do. I'm like freaking out because like it's your chest,
Yeah.
you know. Or I've heard there's vital organs in there.
There's a couple. Yeah, maybe,
There's a
maybe
couple.
one or two.
So I spent my morning in the ER. Jessica took me to Buffalo General and hung out there from about 12:30, 1 o'clock to 5:30 in the morning.
But you
Are you
weren't
all right?
dead, so what's the
The
what's the
last
story?
time I was here, you sliced your thumb.
Yes,
Yeah.
right here. Gastritis is what I have.
Give me a stomach ache. You got-
Indigestion, heartburn. I am now of the,
Agidoo. So you got
I'm
agidoo.
now of the age where I have to have this Pepsid AC.
Oh my
So you went for an
God.
over the
Yes.
man, dude.
It
This is a very
sucked.
anticlimactic. I'm glad you're okay, but that was a very anticlimactic ending.
See, I'm kind of hoping, like, there's a part of me that is like, one, I guess I'm happy I still have a producer,
Yeah.
but also when he's like, I had to go, I couldn't breathe. I'm like, it better be embarrassing. That's the most embarrassing shit I can think of.
The thumb, oh man, yeah. The last time I was here, I
the
forgot you
doctor
sliced your
walking.
thumb.
Imagine the doctor walking in and just shaking his head, going, and he's like, "What's the story, doc? Am I dying?" He goes,
Do I have to finish my will?
"You need to take some Tums and stop eating so much hot sauce, you jerk."
Stop eating pizza.
well, the
rolls.
Cajun lime wings that I had, they weren't hot at all.
Cajun lime wings.
They
did
weren't
him in.
hot at all. And
Imagine going to
I-
the hospital because of Cajun
Yeah,
lime wings.
I spent it was weird. I did an EKG. They took blood work
Wow.
twice from me.
This is not a good ad for OP
Be-
Social.
Yeah, because they I mean, let's not tell OP Social about this. I mean,
Hey, OP Social, I heard you guys put somebody in the hospital with your Cajun lime wings. Piece
Yeah.
of shit.
but I did like an EKG. They did blood work on me twice. I'm not a needles guy.
Twice blood work.
I'm not because the first time they did it, they didn't like hit the vein, and I'm not like needles guy.
No, I remember
That's why I
you-
would never be good at heroin.
Jesus. I remember
Yeah.
you not doing well with the thumb thing last time, and they like blood and it making you pass out. So yeah.
Oh yes, this is like
Right up that alley.
Even getting blood drawn. That's how it was. But it
It's-
just turns out that Pepsid AC is now
The official show
look
sponsor
directly
of the
into
Rockpile
into the
Report.
camera. Pepsid AC is now a part of my daily diet.
Awesome. Well,
New sponsor to the show.
as we say hello to some things, we say goodbye to others. And so with that, we say goodbye to John Murphy. Everybody raise a glass.
What a segue.
Raise a glass to the passing of John Murphy from the Buffalo media kind of circuit. Guys,
Syndicate.
sláinte. Now, I want to have a conversation about what is required in order to be considered, like, how do you become considered audio royalty in a region or in an area? I think there's a couple ways. You have to have an iconic call,
Yes.
or at least a few,
Yes.
or you have to have been around for most of that franchise's premier events.
Hmm.
You have to be the voice that people hear when they think about the greatest things that have happened to a team.
Yes.
Now, I understand John Murphy's gone.
Here it comes.
Yeah. Guys, strap in. I don't know if you know this, but the Rockpile Report, we are the pettiest, hardest drinking Bills podcast.
I wasn't a fan of the guy.
I have something. Yeah, I was going to say, I have something of a hot take. I don't really care that John Murphy's gone. And I'm not trying to be mean about it, but I just, like, driving back from the Q42 co-packer today with Iman Azizi in the truck, it was just, they were going out of their way to fill up the air with all of the applause for John Murphy. Hours of John Murphy-centric coverage. And realistically, I'm not trying to be mean. When I think of the most iconic Bills commentator of all time, it's obviously Van Miller.
Mm-hmm.
But on the drive over here tonight before the podcast, I was listening in my truck to a thing that there's you can Google it, Van Miller on YouTube, and what comes up is this kind of like it's not a documentary, but it's just like a short 7-minute video talking. It's him kind of explaining how he started in Dunkirk, New York, and all the things he did so that he would be ready when he got to Buffalo. But you hear his voice, and you hear how he started here when we were in the AFL as a fledgling team and won AFL titles.
They were a great AFL team.
And then he was the commentator for all of the Super Bowl years for the comeback.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there is a version, it's 18 minutes on YouTube. The first half of the game, it's like a condensed version in 18 minutes of the comeback game. The first half is all of the radio announcers from the Houston Oilers.
That's cool.
Like their radio network.
The back half is Van.
And the back half is Van Miller calling the game.
That's sick.
And it's awesome. And it gave me goosebumps as I'm driving. There hasn't been a single moment that I can think of where I go, man, that John Murphy call really gave me goosebumps. What's a John Murphy call you can remember off the top of your head?
I don't want to pile on or seem disrespectful. Did John Murphy retire? I don't like.
Yeah, he retired today.
Yeah, but that's like I don't.
He's no longer calling games, but he's now in a reduced role within the broadcast department.
I don't. And yeah, he doesn't. I also think too, like you have to have listened to radio, and I haven't listened to a game on radio in forever.
Drew's best friend is in the chat, Steve Mathis. What the fuck is on your head, Anthony?
It's Boston Red Sox hat.
Is
that bad?
I like how Jessica Tennis says he got fired. It's like, yeah, well, I should hope so. I heard games where John Murphy sounded very unenthused about what should have been like energizing plays.
So that's the one thing, again, at the pylon, that stuck in my head. Like, I remember being little and like driving, or like family would put the radio broadcast on during games because Van Miller was awesome, or like you'd be running around on a Sunday and you wouldn't get home in time, so the first like 5 minutes of the first quarter you listened to on the radio. And I remember always hearing Van Miller. the thing that sticks out with Murphy is exactly what you said. Like, I remember there being something of just like the unenthused or the apathetic maybe calls for certain moments or certain pieces. Like, that's the one thing that sticks in my mind. I don't really have anything positive or negative, but he's just not like, I'm
He's
not
a
like,
he's a homer, is what he is.
yes, I do
He's
know that.
super homer.
Which, I mean, understandable. I feel like most guys who call the games are to a degree. But yeah, he doesn't. We were talking offline, like Van Miller and Rick Jenneret are like the voices that will
Sure.
stick with me for forever. And I also think too,
because they have iconic calls and they were here for important moments.
yes,
John Murphy just unfortunately, first of all, wasn't that enthusiastic and also existed in an environment where nothing really epic
no, nothing
with the
happened.
team.
Like, I can hear the Van Miller calls, and I mean Jenneret.
Fandemonium.
Yes,
Fandemonium. That's
done,
it.
Done. And Rick Jenneret, I'm thinking Mayday, and then his call on the Umberger hit. Like, let alone, there's probably like another like 10 or 12 for
The
other people.
sound that Rick Jenneret makes, you know what play it is if you just play the audio. Just what a
Yes.
hit!
Yeah.
You know what he's talking about.
Campbell! Yeah, you just, and the octave he hits.
Lauren Oubre in the
yeah.
comments. The Chris Brown, Nyheim Hines touchdown call stands out more than any Murphy call.
Oh,
That's
fair comment from
spot
Lauren.
on.
Lauren's awesome. That's a good comment too.
And that's it. And that's my point. Like, kudos to him for working in the industry for that long.
Mhm.
But also, can we just admit that some things, like, not everything is
Good.
all world. We have to hang a banner for it. The guy was here and now he's not. And also, I wanna tell a story because, and it's mine to tell. I don't have to clear this with anybody because I saw it with my own two eyes. Now, how Nate felt about it, I'm going to leave this up to Nate Geary to kind of answer for if he feels like it.
Uh-oh.
The first time Chris and I went to training camp as, like, we were content creators. We went, it was 2017. It was Sean McDermott's first year. I actually ended up through Cover One getting on-field credentials, which I absolutely made a horse's ass out of myself.
No.
No, do you know I walked onto the field?
I can see that.
Not knowing. I was trying to take a picture of like Grounding Stadium with the sun coming up, not knowing that they intended to use the outdoor field.
Oh, no.
And I walked out to like the 20.
I was
Like,
hoping
the
it was
number
like
20.
I was hoping you tried to like get into a drill.
But then what happened was I saw people I knew on the other side and figured, well, I'm already halfway. I might as well just go
keep
all the
going,
way.
yeah.
And security came out and got me. And the whole way back, as they're forcibly walking me off the field, I'm trying to explain, and they're like, no, but you can't be out here. And I was like, yeah, but you don't understand. He was like, no, you don't understand. You can't be here. It was, everyone had a good laugh at the bar afterwards at my expense. Everyone thought it was fun.
Did you try and like tussle with security, or you just accepted it?
No, you accept it because you don't want to get thrown out of that place.
Fair.
Especially not if I have Eric vouching for me.
That's fair.
Right?
I'm surprised. I like that you kept it together and maintained the poise.
Ryan Lacel in the comments, Drew, you were almost at midfield.
Not great.
I'm trying to save face here, and it's let's call it what it is. I wandered out onto the playing field. Like, you don't do that, and yet that's why I'm like an outside dog that you bring inside. You have to expect some feral things to happen. But I guess my point is, we were there earlier, like for one of the early. In fact, Chris, it was the practice where Cordy Glenn hurt his ankle.
All right.
Nice.
So
Okay.
Cordy Glenn hurts his ankle. Everyone's freaking out about it. Afterwards, we run into a very still, like, not what he is now, Nate Geary. And we're talking to Nate. I'm like, cool, Nate. Like, we've been going back and forth on social media. It's nice to finally meet you. Like, this is cool, whatever. And then John Murphy comes walking by. And Nate kind of sees him and is like, hey, John, what's going on? And John Murphy gives Nate Geary the fan treatment. Doesn't recognize him, looks at him and goes, oh, hey, it's really nice to meet you, and shakes his hand and walks away.
Now he should have known who Nate is at this time.
Nate Geary had been doing show prep for him for 3 years. And that was the moment that I looked at John Murphy and said, okay, I don't respect you anymore. Because there's a guy on your staff who's busting his ass and trying to make it in this industry and trying to make something of himself, and you don't even know your underlings, then fuck you. I don't need to know you. Not only do I think you're boring, but also you give me that, you're dead to me.
Well, I'm glad you didn't have a hot take on John Murphy.
Yeah, sorry guys. I was like, whoa, not to be a hot take. That I like Ryan Lacey. He goes, security had you shook. Yeah, no, they did.
My biggest takeaway from here is
Chris,
that, dude, the
that
31,
that
3
beer-
for 3 tonight,
Chris,
man.
that beer sat there for 10 minutes. I don't know what you did, but I'm not opening another one.
Where are you getting them from? It's the source point.
He did it. Chris did this.
I have no idea how that I put those in there today.
You know what doesn't do that, folks? An ice cold Montucky.
I wanted to do it so bad. Damn. That's 3 for you. You look like some kind of rook over there.
Every time I open one of these beers, they've exploded all night long. Foamed everywhere. It's a disaster.
It's karma for your negativity on John Murphy.
Listen,
Murphy's in those beers.
he earned that.
That's brutal to Nate, man.
Tell me.
That's really rude.
Hold on. Steve Mathis, John Murphy doesn't tip valets.
Awesome.
That's brutal.
Awesome.
Poor John Murphy.
So, guys, it's with hey, before we finish our drinks here, let's all raise a glass. Hey, so long. Bye, John Murphy. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. I'll see you on the other
Oh,
side.
his butt. I get it.
Now, speaking of hurt feelings, right? Guys walking around with hurt feelings. Apparently, Brandon Bean hurt some feelings over there at, what is it, Patriot Way? What do they call that road that leads to the Patriots, stadium? Apparently, for people who have been there, if you guys are watching, someone comment who's actually been there. But from what I've heard, it's just like a 4-lane road that leads into the middle of nowhere to Patriot Place.
Mm.
And there's just a road.
It sounds very Belichickian. Like, we don't need any pomp and circumstance. Just make a road and a building. That's all we need. Just get the job done.
You know,
So-
there's a prominent NFL parent that has New England as the worst rated stadium, and they've been to all of them.
Who's this parent?
I mean, I don't. You can put that together with how many football players Drew and I know.
To correct Ryan, it was Blue Point Brewing. These beers keep exploding. Not the old rusty, trusty Montucky. I just want you to know that. This beer rules. Genesee Brewery can suck it. They're terrible. Listen, all you do is make 9 different varieties of crappy beer.
Damn.
You flavor it, and it's all just flavored like firewater.
You're shooting from the hip on this one.
Yeah, no.
Anthony,
this is
do you
what we
want? Do you
live.
want a? We have a peach
Oh,
mango.
yeah, do you want to try a peach mango beer?
I don't want it to explode
No,
on me.
no,
I don't want to be
it
in
won't
this. I'm going to
explode.
fight somebody in this room if this beer explodes on me.
No, it just open it.
Open it,
Drink
take one
it.
sip, tell me what you think.
Yeah, and then
No, well,
I'll throw it away if you don't like
let
it.
it marinate while I kind of expand on this idea. Every sports movie is chock full of characters, right? Because it's the only thing that makes a sports movie watchable. Because otherwise, we would just watch. You like that?
Yeah, I like fruity drinks like that. Sorry, at least I know how to open a fucking beer.
All right.
I'm leaving.
Ryan Lacey's gonna love that. By the way, that sucks.
You don't like
Damn it.
You don't like it?
No, I'm just really angry that you like
It's
it.
peach and mango. Who
I
doesn't like
hate
peach
that
and
beer.
mango?
I
You could put it into
hate that
anything and I drink it. You could put it into Robitussin and I drink it.
All right, Mike Jones.
I was hoping somebody would get like a Southern rap lean reference out of it.
Mike Jones, Paul Wall. What are you doing over there?
Yes.
So,
Yes. Little chopped and screwed.
when you think about what makes a sports movie, it's because the characters are polarizing, right? And they all have the same kind of formulaic thing.
Yeah, like Mighty
there's,
Ducks.
There's a hero.
Mighty Ducks.
There has to be a hero, like Bradley Cooper in Silver Linings Playbook.
I've never seen that film. Sounds good.
Or Hulk Hogan in '96 before he joined NWO.
Oh, what a bastard.
Yes.
He was the third man the whole time. Drew, you remember that. You were there. You were in the crowd.
Here's what I like. Like, you have these guys. Then you have the heel character who has to balance out the hero. And then you have this inept character. A boob, right? But the thing is, the boob is the most important character of the three. Here's why. Because whether you as the viewer realize it or not, he represents the everyman. What he does is he presents a canvas that allows these other two to stand out.
Like Goldberg in D2 The Mighty Ducks. Goalie.
You need a bunch of people who are painfully average so that the hero and the villain seem like they're on pedestals.
Mm.
You have to have that in every sports movie,
Mm.
right? Like I'm trying to think of a good one. Like the pitcher who in Major League, the old man, right? The old man pitcher, and then there's Vaughn.
The guy who's putting all the stuff on the ball.
Yeah.
Like the Vagisil and the jalapeno stuff.
Yeah, the old man.
Okay.
You've got him, and then you've got Vaughn. But everyone knows Vaughn's the man, and this dude's just kind of a boob who's hanging on.
Mm.
That dude is a vital character. Like Brucey in The Longest Yard. Okay? Brucey in The Longest Yard, who oddly looks like Tua Tagovailoa.
Damn.
Ryan Gosling in Remember the Titans. Remember that dude had to get cooked.
Yeah, but
He had to get cooked to make Turk from Scrubs look good. And then that was like a
Petey.
cool moment they got to have at the end of the movie where it was like that dude took himself out of the game because he knew Petey was better than him.
Well, yeah, no comment.
Okay?
Should have known that.
When it comes to the NFL draft, I can't help but be reminded of the Jaguars GM in draft day, Jeff Carson. You remember that? Where he panics? He's like, I don't know what to do here.
I've only seen Draft Day in pieces with Greg because we did like it on an episode or a playback or something. I've never seen it fully.
Ew, you guys watched it together?
No, I had never seen it, and so they wanted to show him and Chris Kepner. We were doing a Sabres playback, and they wanted to show
I've been
me
on
some of
those
the
with
pieces.
you.
Yeah, it's a good time.
The playbacks were fun. We were there
super
for the
fun.
night. We were there. I threw a chair one night.
Yeah, that was one of the few times I've gotten angry on something because the Sabres like lost to the Lightning. The Lightning tied it late, and you were just laying it on, and I had had enough of your shit, and I wasn't pleased.
No, we scored and won that game.
Yeah, but Tampa Bay tied. Tampa Bay came back and tied it, and you were lambasting the Sabres for giving up this lead.
And then we scored, and I threw a chair.
It was a good time. But yeah,
It was a great game.
I think it was a playback, and I had never seen. I still haven't seen the whole thing of Draft Day. I just know pancakes and get the guy that you want to get, and it's a linebacker, and they trade up and trade back and trade.
So there's a guy who's GMing the Jaguars who's in over his head. He's a first-year GM. He panics. He doesn't know what to do. His name is Jeff Carson. And that's the guy I think about when we're talking about the New England Patriots.
He's Elliot Wolf.
If you were to make this year's draft a movie, Elliot Wolf is Jeff Carson. Here's the reason why I say that. It's one thing to get your feelings hurt or get mad at another team or be frustrated with something that they do during the draft.
Mm-hmm.
It's another thing to open up and say it to the press. You don't let that out of the building, right?
Yeah.
He
Meanwhile,
kind of sounds like Tony Khan. He's a fucking mark.
I was going to say, you don't just well done. Nice. I was going to let him cook a little bit more before I went with my wrestling reference, but you got it. Well done, Chris.
You guys stapling me from The Blind Side with wrestling references.
Oh, The Blind Side. Great football movie.
It's
You're
not.
just dropping gems.
It's not. And the Tui family is full of garbage people.
No, they're
out in real
salt
life,
of the earth.
Turns out in real life they're terrible.
MJF like it.
Yes, thank you. Yes. Yes.
Off the top.
Yes, that's a phenomenal alley-oop. I didn't know if you were going to do it or not.
Oh,
Yes,
no.
that was 1,000%, man. I just feel like we're just cooking in the ring. This is Bret Hart and Stone Cold WrestleMania right here. This is just golden.
Yeah, we're not the Raw crowd the other night when CM Punk referenced how he's a choke artist.
No,
in a different way, where the
Yes.
crowd didn't get it.
no, they did not connect the dots on that. You know that. You watched Raw. What'd you think?
I hate you guys.
What do you think of the
so
whole
much.
Drew
I hate
McIntyre
that-
CM Punk thing?
I hate that you're doing this to me.
What? You love wrestling.
I loved wrestling when it seemed like it was actually real.
Like today. Like right now. Wrestling right now.
And then one day they blew up the owner's car with him in it.
Yeah, that happened.
And they were
Yeah.
going to try to pretend he was dead, and then some guy died in the ring, and they had to pretend like they had to break kayfabe and be like, "Hey,
that's
all right,
not
Hey,
right.
Eclipse expert Mike Partham, Drew would love how petty and disrespectful MJF is.
Absolutely. Drew would 1,000% love that. Have you seen his cameos
No.
that he does for people? He charges $500 a cameo, and it's just him insulting the people who like want the cameo. It's phenomenal. You'd love him. You would be a big MJF guy. You can imagine Drew wearing the scarf, the Burberry scarf,
No,
and just
he
rocking
wouldn't.
out.
If there was like a Marshall's Burberry scarf, Drew would wear that. That's for
I'm not gonna
sure.
lie, Marshalls is where I get most of my shirts.
That tracks.
Yeah.
Not in a negative way. Marshall has good deals. You got all those racks of stuff.
So here's what I love about this. They allowed their anger and frustration with Brandon Beane and what he did to them on draft day to get out of the building.
Yes.
You as a GM can't allow that to happen.
No, just like Tony Khan shouldn't allow that whole CM Punk thing to develop and get out.
What I know is that when you try to trade with another team, they got their feelings hurt because Bean took their call, talked to them about their draft plans, and then gave them the meet me on the 9th green at 9 o'clock treatment. Literally, you're a first timer. You don't know how this goes. Sure, tell me who you're going to pick, and then tell me what you want for him, and then allow me to take that and parlay it on down the line and go, hey, if I draft, because you know that was probably they don't show that in Embedded, right? But when they're calling the Chiefs and they're having that conversation, they're going, hey, if you want Worthy, like, we'll do this deal. And then they call the Panthers and go, hey, who's your guy? You're trying to move up? Dan Morgan, guy I know. Well, how about this? The Patriots are also looking for a wide receiver. Do you want this pick or not? Because I'm selling.
Yeah.
Because you know you're going to screw them.
Yes.
You know you're going to screw them because you know who they want.
Yes.
Because they were dumb enough to tell you. Now, maybe it's what happens all the time, but I doubt it.
Oh, you mean like that level of like screwing happening?
Yeah.
I feel like there's,
Like Montreal?
Nice screw job all day. Horrible. I'm a huge Bret Hart fan. You remember the screw job? Just
I
a
do
terrible
remember
moment.
the Montreal screw job.
I will forever hate Shawn Michaels because of that. And Triple H. He lies right to Bret Hart's wife. He's like, I swear to God, I had no idea that was going to happen. You fucking help architected that, son of a bitch. Sorry. I feel like that's a level of gamesmanship that happens. Like I wouldn't like, if I'm Elliot Wolf, I'm probably pissed. But I'm not taking it personally because I feel like that just happens.
This is
like,
what happens in the NFL with teams who are trying to get better.
It happens if you play Monopoly, like with your family. You're leveraging like everything against one another, trying to figure things out.
Suck it, Meemaw.
That's
Guess
right.
what? I have Park Avenue
That's
now.
right.
You're broke.
That's
And
right.
then you dance on it.
I'm collecting all the yellows. Like I don't care how broke you are. It is what it is. But yeah, for him to let it out is just.
And this is where I go, okay.
This is delicious.
I see this happen, and then I watch what else is happening with the front office at the Patriots, and I go, this is just a microcosm of the dysfunction that's happening there, which tells me, for all these Patriots fans who are like, just wait till we reload. No. Kraft's going to be in the ground before you guys are successful.
They had a good draft, though.
They had a good draft, but I'll tell you what, I will say this. Not only is Elliot Wolf Jeff Carson from draft day, but also what's telling is that they're in their search for a GM.
Yeah.
The GM search. A ton of qualified candidates from the Bengals, the Cardinals, and our own Buffalo Bills turned down the Patriots to interview for the GM job.
Because they believe that Wolf is going to be the guy, and so they're just like going through the motions.
I'm not going to be token interview.
But they're not enough. Yeah, it's.
And so the idea is no one wants to play ball with you, New England. Now, some of that might be because you drafted a quarterback already. Oh. Some of them might not agree with the fact that guy's the guy. Some of them don't want to have their future made up for them, right? Like, oh, you mean you saddled me with a quarterback that I may or may not like, and now I have to work my career around his?
Your wagon is hitched to him, and that's going to determine your fate.
Which is a stupid decision, but if you trust Mike Florio and the guys over at Pro Football Talk, ownership made the picks this draft.
Oh.
They said ownership ran the draft this year.
Ownership did good. I like Drake May. I like Polk. I like Baker. Well, I don't love Polk, but.
So anybody who's shying away from this must think that this is going to be kind of a slog, right? Like this is going to be a long project. And also, if you have an ownership group that's willing to come in and just say, we make the picks.
Not great.
I don't want to work with them.
It's also weird, too,
Hey,
because...
Lauren in the chat, the Patriots feeling cheated by a draft pick shift when they have cheated for years does not garner any sympathy.
No one's crying.
Everybody's just shooting from the hip. Even if your straightforwardness has made its way into the chat.
I'm that meme of the guy just pouring the water down his face, like, there's my tears. I'll see you in hell.
It's a situation that is. That's the second time you've said, I'll see you in hell tonight. I like it.
Well, I mean,
that's fair. Because guys are turning it down because the thought is that Wolf is going to be the guy. But then it's weird for ownership to pull the strings. If Wolf is going to be the guy, then you might as well let Wolf run the show. So you want Wolf to be the guy, but he's not the guy enough to make the picks.
Yeah.
But he's the guy enough be the point that the word has gotten out and nobody wants to interview. And then, yeah, just him. I was surprised that story came out. I saw Cameron Wolf report it on that Pat's podcast with Taylor Kyles, I think Patriots on CLNS. And then I had Taylor on my show this week, and we were just looking at the Bills draft class through like an enemy perspective. And I asked him about that. I hadn't planned it. I had just forgotten about it. And I was like, oh, yeah, like, because Cameron Wolf was on his show and helped, like, break that story. And, yeah, Taylor said the same thing. It was basically, like, what he believes is Bean had a deal in place with Wolf and then called the Panthers and was like, hey, like, we don't want to deal with the Pats. What do you want to give us? And the Pats wanted to move up and get either Keon Coleman or Xavier Legette. Now, post-draft, the favor has gone more that they really wanted Legette, but at that moment it was believed they wanted Legette or Coleman. But yeah, Bean called the Panthers and was like, hey, we really don't want to deal with the Pats. What do you want to give us?
Do you want to give us something so we don't have to do that?
Basically.
And it's not a coincidence that Dan Morgan.
No. Because you can
the Brandon Bean
tree.
GM tree.
Because it's easier too. Like you can just call, instead of calling another GM, you're kind of calling your boy and being like, yo, bro, I don't want to deal with the Pats right now. Can you just give me can you throw in like a couple Gatorades and we'll make this deal? Like, I just don't want to deal with the Pats.
I just don't want to have to do this. I already said yes so that he would tell me what he wanted.
Yes.
And now that I know what he wanted, fuck him.
But it also, exactly. And that if you're Wolf, that also makes you look like an idiot. Because then you're coming out to be like, I'm super mad that Brandon Bean played me like a fiddle and used me to get another deal and leverage the situation. One, I imagine that happens all the time, so I feel like you're crying over spilled milk. That happens to everyone. Two, you willingly just came on and were like, I got suckered. I'm pissed about it. Like, why would you do that?
I like
we have a
I like Elfar Tiaga and hashtag sports both in the chat. We really were under the thumb of a terrible franchise that hit the lotto in the 6th round. It's as if a child molester won the Powerball.
No comment.
I do like Partham's.
Shout out to Drake.
Mike Partham.
Shout out to Drake.
I'll see you in hell
Yes!
should be a segment.
That should be a segment. Yes,
it
100%.
should.
I'll see you in hell. It needs to be a segment like you. I don't know how you guys don't have that already. Like, that needs to be a thing. I'll see you in hell.
Well,
especially in season, like a player who plays bad. That's your in week. Like, I'll see you in hell.
We already have a lot of new additions this year. We have the Weiner line that we're going to be bringing in.
Okay.
We're going to be bringing in the. I like this idea.
I think, and you need to make a graphic with flames and a whole bunch of stuff. Someone for Cam Lewis doesn't break up that pass against Justin Jefferson, and Cam Lewis is that week's like, I'll see you in hell, Cam Lewis. You remember that? Remember that time?
I'll never forget that.
Neither will I. No one will forget that.
I stormed out of the game.
You know what's funny is everyone remembers that, but nobody remembers Josh Allen fumbling a snap within the inch of his own goal line.
Oh no, that's when I left the game when I saw that play. It was right in our end zone. And I was like, well, that's enough.
Well, that's enough. Fuck
that's
this.
enough for today. I can't take any more of
You
this.
probably would have stayed if you had a delicious mango peach Kolsch.
I believe.
I would not.
I believe
It's some wrestling.
the 6th goon. I think that's Oliver from England.
Yeah.
Isn't I'll see you in hell the whole podcast? Yes, it is. Yes, the whole podcast is Drew going, I'll see you
Basically.
in hell.
All right.
You really don't like this?
I really hate that.
So
beer.
it's delicious. It's
Now-
light, fruity.
I know you watch Bills Embedded.
Who?
Bills Embedded.
Bills are in
You
bed with
watched
who?
the first one.
I did.
So, let's talk about something. Now, here's the thing. I think people watch Bills Embedded and they take that as if it's not just a PR piece by the team. It's a highly edited, very conveniently put together piece to showcase the team that they give to the public and go, hey, we're going to bring you under the tent. The Dame you are.
Like, I feel like the things they said about Keon Coleman, I believe are 100% true, but they probably say that about a lot of other guys. And then if they draft one, they're able to put it together. Like, it's not like they said that about Keon Coleman and then.
And they didn't say it about Romo Dunes.
Yeah. Or Brian Thomas ran his 40 and they were like, fuck him. Like,
fuck
no.
this guy. We don't need him. We've got Keon Coleman. He's
I got these
I'll
peach
see you
mango
in
Kolsch.
hell.
Yeah, I'll see you in hell.
I'll see you in hell.
I'll see you in
I'll
hell.
see you in hell, Brian Thomas. Give me Keon Coleman and a peach mango Kolsch.
Yeah, that I'll.
So good.
What I do know though is that it was interesting that Brandon Bean unsolicited knew Gabe Davis's 40 time.
Yeah, but
Just knew it.
I also know that. Who doesn't know that?
Sure, but I don't know that.
Okay, fair.
I've got other things. I've got other things going on in my life.
So do I. Okay.
So
fair.
when they're sitting there talking about Keon Coleman and Gabe Davis, and he looks at the guy and goes, "Oh no, that 40-10 will help you get him." And they go, "Wait, it was right around Gabe's time." He goes, "Yeah, it was. It was a 5."
Like a boss, they're like, "Oh yeah, right around there," and he goes 4-5-4, and just stands right up and drops the mic.
I know what it was. Don't fuck with me.
Yeah.
And then what I like is that he does the political thing where he's using the term evolve the roster and infusion of youth. My dad had a very, in our house, it was famous. It was one of my favorites. It stuck with me my whole life. It was a phrase.
I'll see you
where
in
he
hell.
would, no, not that. I mean, that's one of them. He has said that, but that's not his
It's
one.
a Dave Gear original.
The Dave Gear original was "Don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining." Don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining. Brandon Beane, just tell me we're rebuilding. He's finding all these creative ways to be like, no, we're just going to reimagine the roster. It's like, I see it. I'm not stupid. I know that what we're doing is we're resetting the salary cap. We did it in 2018, except now we have a quarterback. So what you're doing is, and we have talent at a bunch of different positions. So you're pivoting to things that, as we talked about in our earlier podcast,
Yes.
that there probably is no video of because, hey, Chris botched it. Can we agree on that?
I don't know.
Ah, damn it. I wish you could.
He works
No.
so hard, and he had a
Chris works
stomach
really
ache this
hard.
morning. He's got to take Pepsid
He had to take his
AC.
Pepsid.
He cut his thumb last time, or finger.
We talked about it in tonight's earlier podcast about the schematics of what they're doing at wide receiver and how everyone thinks it's lunacy. And I go, well, it's not if you think about what you could be with that group.
Yes.
And what you do with that running back stable and what you could still be as an offense. It's almost like a San Francisco type thing where you're like, oh, hey, one of our best players is probably going to be a running back, but that's okay because we're still going to score points.
Yeah, just pivot.
It's this thing of we're going to evolve the roster. Just tell me you're rebuilding. Just say it. We're not dumb. We don't insult my intelligence, but they feel like they have to.
I see.
Hey, remember where I've heard insult your intelligence?
Where?
Vince McMahon, 97.
Wow. Your specific year
Yeah,
poll.
97, where that's where they shifted into the Attitude Era.
That's
Remember
right.
he came on
Brett screwed Brett.
straight to camera? It feels
Brett
like we're
screwed Brett.
insulting your intelligence.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. We as a WWF believe. Nice. Vince McMahon's a real piece of shit. So I see what you're saying, and I agree. Because I do think there is a revamp. But at the same time, I do think some of the picks and the direction they're going in from a free agency and roster building standpoint, I do think it's a different direction. Now, they may try to be sugarcoating it and making it seem like it's purely schematic or purely intentional and not financial driven or not driven because they had their hand forced in certain ways, maybe like with the Stephon Diggs piece. But I do think it is a bit of kind of like shining things up and making it seem sunshine and rainbows. But at the same time, I do think there is validity to that statement. I do think they are trying to evolve the roster from the standpoint of pivoting and changing kind of the makeup and the build. Even the selection of Cole Bishop, like at safety, he doesn't fit their traditional safety archetype in terms of what he does, how like his play style and what he does and how he succeeds. Doesn't mean he can't succeed in a Poyer or Hyde type of role. But he's best around the line of scrimmage in this like Swiss Army knife, apex, second level defender. You're using him as a robber. You're buzzing him up. You're doing all these creative plays, like using him like the Patriots would use a safety or the Ravens would use a safety. So I do think there is some fire to that smoke. Like Keon Coleman is a genuine and legitimate departure from the archetype they've looked for at wide receiver, as is the multitude of other guys we talked about earlier. But especially with that investment for Keon, I think even Cole Bishop is a departure from that as well. So I do think you're trying to polish it up a little bit. You just don't want to say that it's a revamp or a rebuild. I do think it's more of a revamp than a rebuild, but I do think there is some fire to that smoke of them trying to, maybe not evolve the roster, but pivot and go in a different direction.
Can we use the Alpha Artiaga term? When Chris Greer tore down the roster in 2019, he called it a hard reset. Tore the Band-Aid off and poured rubbing alcohol on it.
I don't know if it's a hard Oh, man.
This isn't a hard reset because you still have key pieces in place that can make the offense successful.
True,
this is NWO 2000.
Oh, my God. Don't do this. Don't do this. They're just. Oh man, I do not like that.
Here's what I love. Whoever the sixth goon is in the comments, I love this. I love this person because they're just real. First of all, I used to watch wrestling as a kid and I grew out of it. Same.
You did not grow out of it. You texted me earlier this week. You were like, "Man, did you see Raw this week? I love Cody Rhodes." I was like, "Drew, come on, grow up."
They also asked the question, "Isn't I'll see you in hell the whole podcast?"
That's what we said. That.
Yeah.
I love it.
You're falling apart.
Now, here's what I want to know.
Oh.
When you look at this and you think about the people who
No
think,
NWO should have Jeff Jarrett in it.
I forgot Jeff Jarrett was in the NWO.
NWO 2000.
When you think,
Bro, don't act like you don't want to talk about NWO 2000. You texted me earlier this week. You were like, "Hey, Anthony, you know what I love? NWO 2000.
I'm going to eat one of these empty cans like a ghost.
You were like, remember when they covered Kevin Nash in blood in the ring, but they accidentally missed him? And then you started talking about how much you love Vampiro
Wait,
and
are
Billy
we talking
Kidman.
about fake Diesel and fake Razor Ramon?
No, I'm talking about real Diesel.
Yeah. So here's the thing that when it comes to this idea of what you saw from the whole like embedded, hey, we get this thing and he's been telling us this.
We got the exact guy we wanted, and this is what we play in the whole time.
I just look at it and I say we've got a roster that has a lot of flexibility.
Yes. Well said.
They can be a lot of things, and that's good. It's good for you as a team to have an idea of what you could be.
Yes.
And if you're going to pivot, you might as well do it in a year where you're so cash strapped you don't have a choice.
Fair.
You pivot.
No one ever said Drew grew up. His teeth did, just not the rest of him.
Who said that?
Yes.
I believe it's Oliver from England.
I love it.
That's brutal.
Hey, listen. We were talking off air before we started the show about how I grew up at the age of 7 watching the Friars Club roast with Don Rickles.
Yeah, that's right.
I was going to elementary school and repeating Don Rickles jokes. How many phone calls do you think my parents got about this?
That's a lot.
It's a problem, but it also shapes my sense of humor. I love it. I'm like Will Ferrell in Blades of Glory when I'm out there just drunk in the mascot costume. Let it rain down on me. You can't hurt
What he's
my
doing,
feelings.
he's performing for the Grublets.
What I see when I look at this is a roster where there's a lot of moves to be made and there's a lot of pivots philosophically that you can make. And you can do it now because the team is going to, this is going to be a rough season. You know it because we've hemorrhaged talent, established talent. You're now banking on the upside of people who have never been in the building before. Not everyone is plug and play. Most teams, like Elf, the Miami Dolphins, who just think they can every year plug in a new guy and he's going to be an instant fit. Why do you think the Dolphins have been runners-up for how long now?
4 straight years? Well,
Longer?
well, I thought you were talking about success. Yeah,
Longer. The Dolphins have thought they've won free agency for the last 20 years, I think multiple times. Like every year you're hearing about them crowing about, well, we got this guy, we got that guy.
You're going to have Alf in the comments now.
They were proving that these guys aren't plug and play. The Bills can't look at this as if every addition that we added is plug and play. And in Embedded, they did a good job of showing that the rookies that they added were all well-spoken. They were team leaders. They were high-character guys. They're guys that they expect to be the future backbone of the team.
Yeah, the Mango Peach Colts are the draft class.
Damn it! Between wrestling and the Genesee love, I hate this podcast.
Sorry.
Let's go to Lance in the comments. Bean took a hard look at his team and said, I love our choices, but it hasn't gotten us anything. So instead of following insanity, let's do the opposite of my last decisions over the last few years.
I think that's fair. Insanity is what the definition of it is what, doing the same thing, expecting different results. I think there is some semblance of credibility to that statement. Again, I do think, Drew, to your point, like we said, like it is kind of a PR move. Like, yeah, this is like exactly what we wanted. Everything turned out exactly how we planned. Like, this is what we wanted. This is who we wanted. We got them where we wanted. Everything's sunshine and rainbows. We're not worried about not having Stephon Diggs. Everything is fine. But to that point, and to that comment, I do think there has been and we talked about it in the previous episode that we did earlier tonight, I do think there has been a purposeful shift. Now, whether that's been whether that was initially planned or whether that was more reactive based on how the dominoes were falling along the way. I think that's the bigger discussion piece. But I think where they are now is not by accident.
No,
Well, the Bills,
no. It's intentional.
the Bills can their draft can be just summed up as we drafted character, according to Lauren.
Well, my favorite is Spin 0481. Drew watched wrestling as a kid and grew out of it, but somehow growing out of wrestling allowed him to grow into a bigger kid.
Wow, that's deeply philosophical. That's like some Aristotle philosophy
is
there.
Highly philosophical. I like it.
He's shooting from the hip.
I mean, if I was going to say, Chris, what wrestler do I remind you of?
Oh my God, R-Truth. No, I'm just kidding.
I would say George the Animal Steel.
Oh,
The opposite of Alberto Del Rio's character.
the opposite of Alberto Del Rio.
The poor side.
I gotta be honest, that I take that question extremely seriously, and I can't just like off the cuff give an answer. Like I have to, because of how much you love wrestling to this day. I respect your love for it. So like, for those listening, you guys don't get it. I come over here and I'm like, so what are we talking about for this show? And Drew is like, wrestling. I want to talk about wrestling. I'm like, Drew, pump the brakes. Like, I don't want to talk about wrestling. He's like, no, come on. AEW Dynamite, WWE Raw. Like, did you watch TNA? Or are you watching CMLL? And I'm like, what is CMLL, Drew? And he's like, Mexico. Or are you watching AAA? Like, Drew is all wrestling all the time. So because of how much you love it, I can't give a comp that I haven't seriously thought about and put effort into. But I will. Like, that's coming.
My favorite wrestler in the world was Stone Cold Steve Austin because he was the only person who didn't need to be on anyone's side. He didn't need a team.
That's right.
He didn't need anybody. It was just the corporation, DX, the ministry, and then there was Stone Cold Steve Austin.
That's right.
And he just, anybody who got too close,
Stunner.
you just caught one.
And cracking beers. Fun fact, the beers that he was crushing was Mango Peach Kolsch. That's what he was all about. He says it and cuts in one of his promos. He's like, Austin 316 says Mango Peach Kolsch. That's what he says. He loved it.
So, with that in mind, there's a lot to take away from what we've been sold about the Bills roster this year and what we think it can be. Now, we did a whole show earlier tonight that'll air. Chris, allegedly, the video might not be available.
Audio for sure.
Audio only.
Video, we'll see.
Check out the podcast.
I blame myself. There's all these technical errors.
Every time you show up, you're bad luck schleprock.
Yeah, there's audio or video issues. I'm in the ER or have COVID.
I'm serious. Like, it's a serious, like, I'm some kind of curse around here.
But I'm not going to lie. Most of the bad things happen to him.
That is also true.
I'll keep inviting you.
Anthony, this is for you from our good friend Alpha Artiaga, who, if you wanted to, can just derail our comments on a live feed if you wanted to. The AFC East as wrestlers.
Oh, I like this. I'm excited. I'm super excited. Yeah.
All right, the Bills are Cody Rhodes.
Oh, I hate that because I hate Cody Rhodes, but fair, understandable.
Okay. The Finns, because Alf's the Dolphins guy.
Okay, yeah, I know.
The Finns are Roman Reigns.
Okay.
The Jets are Dustin Rhodes.
Okay.
And New England is Doink the Clown.
I love those guys.
Doink the Clown is one of my favorite wrestlers.
It's got to be Matt Bourne though.
I'm not gonna lie.
Doink the Clown as
that is the best
Matt
version
Bourne.
of yes.
He got dark. Like
Side
Doink the Clown got dark.
Doink. All jokes aside, Doink the Clown was like, this is such a nerdy wrestling thing.
The Six Scoot is mad about it in the comments. He's
What
what are you talking about? The Doink the Clown?
Doink the Clown was so ahead of his time. Like that character, the arc, everything was so. If you did Doink today, it would hit on all levels. He was so ahead of his time. But again, to your point, the Matt Bourne version. I love those AFC wrestling comps.
Kona Crush? Like, remember Crush?
Oh, I remember Crush.
And then him and Doink had this
WrestleMania 9
feud. Yeah.
I hate that WrestleMania.
If you want to know more about Doink the Clown, you got to do is watch.
Just ask Drew.
No, you got to watch Dark Side of the Ring.
That's right.
Matt Bourne.
That's why, of course, I watched that one. I have to watch the finale from this season where they did the Black Saturday stuff on Vince. I haven't watched it yet.
Good.
I know. I imagine. Drew was telling me all about it.
You know what you get? You get a whole bunch of Jim Cornette.
Shock. Shocker. You love Jim Cornette, right, Drew?
Yeah.
I
You're always
fucking
like me.
love Jim Cornette.
All right. Let's rein this in. I want to finish this
Let's
show.
Roman Reigns
Oh,
this
wait,
in.
hold on. Mike Partham. Valid point. The Finns are not Roman Reigns. They haven't won shit.
You have to have at least one title before you can call yourself Roman Reigns.
Damn. You know who Roman Reigns is?
I do.
You know how you know that? Because you watch wrestling every week. Stop lying to your audience.
I don't watch
Yes, you
wrestling.
do.
I'm just here with you idiots.
Don't you remember? As soon as I came in today, you were like, hey, man, did you see that Kenny Omega promo from the hospital last night on Dynamite? And I was like, Drew, whoa, calm down. I'm not trying to talk wrestling right now. You were all about it. You were like, what do you think about Jack Perry? Is he really the scapegoat? I was like, Drew, please.
I don't know who these people are.
Jack Perry's an idiot.
I hope nothing good happens to any of them ever.
Oh, that's rude.
I hope the whole AEW thing craters and everyone catches fire.
Oh, that's mean.
But with that, yeah, exactly. Because I'll see them in hell.
Lauren, I would have guessed Roman Reigns was the villain from Gone in 60 Seconds.
Yes. Lauren, I love you. We're in this together. We're in this together. Now, we can't finish the show without talking about the wave of new additions to the Bills roster.
To the elite? Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No. The wave of new additions, because they randomly signed 4 guys in 1 week.
Yes.
And I want to start with what might seem like the biggest one, Chase Claypool. And if there's a thing I could say, one word to sum up the signing, it would be this. That's it.
That's on brand.
That's all I have. Shit!
I'll-
You brought in Chase Claypool?
You know what he is? He's
Say your count.
Randy Moss without the talent when Randy Moss was on the Raiders.
Oh, you were going
He-
to go with the Drew Gulak comp?
No.
Did you
I
just
went with that
Did
too.
you just say Chase Claypool and Randy Moss in the same sentence?
I'm talking about his attitude when Randy Moss was on the Raiders.
Oh, his Attitude Era.
Yeah, attitude era. Claypool has the same attitude of Randy Moss when he was on the Raiders.
Minus the talent.
He just whines and complains because he doesn't have a fucking good quarterback when he was in Miami and when he was in Chicago. He just acts like a real fucking bitch. It's a waste.
Whoa.
It's a waste of money by
Whoa.
Brandon Beane. 100%. I don't want Chase Claypool on the 53 on the practice squad. I don't want him living here. If he's gonna stay here and be on the practice,
He's got to live in, like, Toronto.
No.
He has to. What's that?
Live in Tonawanda.
No. What's
He's got to live
No,
in
no,
Tonawanda.
no,
'cause That's
no.
where his type. That's where he belongs.
No. He's got to live because he's gonna be practice squad and he's only gonna be here for a couple months. What's that shitty hotel off of Camp Road?
Oh my God, the Red Roof Inn.
Yeah, no, not the Red Roof. It was like a Motel 6.
Like a Clarion.
That's where he's got to stay. Yeah, might be that.
No. That dude belongs in Tonawanda. That's where he
mean.
goes.
Regular Tonawanda or North Tonawanda?
It doesn't matter. Everyone who thinks there's a differentiation is an asshole.
There's a difference between Tonawanda and North Tonawanda.
One
That's
of them,
what they tell me.
Well, of course, that's what they tell you. It's a gilded turd.
I don't-
It's one thing that stinks, and then there's 2 people fighting over who stinks worse.
Oh, that's brutal.
That's where that's where he should be. He belongs living there with his kind. Wow. That guy sucks. I don't want to see him anywhere near the roster. Now, Dwayne Smoot, on the other hand, this is interesting. His production has been good, but he had a miserable 2023 coming back off a knee injury.
Torn Achilles.
Torn Achilles. Oh, even better.
He tore it in week 16 of the 2022 season.
And it took him an entire year to rehab. And he admitted, he goes, I wasn't 100%
No,
the
like
entire year.
mid-November, he was like, I just feel, right now, in mid-November, I feel like how I would have felt at the end of training camp.
Hey, guys, anyone shocked that we didn't spend the money on Trey White? Dre Greenlaw. Hey, I'm in this. It's going to be a long haul back.
Oh, I love Drake.
Hey, Dwayne Smoot. Hey, it took me a year and a half to get back to normal. The Bills didn't want to pay $16 million for Trey White with an Achilles injury. I don't fault them. It's a business
No,
decision.
it's understandable. It's a harsh reality, but it's an understandable move.
And when we play them,
The Rams.
It's going to be all love if he's out there. If he's out there on the field.
Kyle, the beer guy. Kyle Washington from us. Chase Claypool, 2024 Saskatchewan Roughriders MVP.
Damn, he's already relegated him to the CFL.
Here's what I like about him. One of the things I look at in pass rushers, it's a metric I've been keeping for years, and sometimes like me and the host of Play Like a Jet, we do the AFC's roundup every week.
Scott Mason, also huge wrestling.
Huge
fan.
wrestling.
Oh, well, it makes sense that him and Drew get along because Drew loves wrestling too.
One of the things I like to track, and it led me to believe that Trey Hendrickson would be mediocre.
Oh.
Or at least slightly above average, but not great.
Yeah, he's been phenomenal.
He's been phenomenal, which is why he's asking. Has anyone noticed that the media isn't pouncing all over the fact that he's also demanding a trade?
Fun. Yeah, that hasn't been broadcasted enough. Also, too, your sentiment on him was a common one. Like a lot of people thought he was not worth the money that Cincinnati gave.
Here's why. One of the metrics I like to chase is
Sacks.
Not just sacks.
Just kidding.
No, it's pressures to disruptive plays. How many pressures are you creating compared to other disruptive plays? If the ratio seems skewed, then it's probably not sustainable. I call it the Kyler Fackrell effect.
Oh.
Do you remember him?
Yeah.
Okay. So the dude had 2 sacks, then 3 sacks, and then 1 year had 10.5. But he had 10.5 sacks on 18 pressures. And you go, wait a minute.
Not sustainable.
You pressured the quarterback 18 times over the course of a season, and 10.5 of those turned into sacks. It's unlikely to repeat itself. And then his agent pushed for a new contract, not shockingly. Yeah. And then the team was like, no, we'll let you play it out. And sure enough, he went back down to 2 and 3.
That's why I like PFFs, for as much maligned as they are for their grades, which I don't pay attention to, their pass rush productivity metric, which combines sacks, hits, hurries, and pressures, everything relative to how many pass rush snaps you have. So it's basically an efficiency metric. So you could have somebody who's like, man, like, he had 80 pressures. It's like, yeah, but he had 900 pass rush snaps, so that's not really like a good percentage.
Dwayne Smoot has always performed well in this regard.
He's a legitimately good piece. He and for anybody who wants to remember painfully, when we lost to the Jags that last year with Dable, he wrecked shop in that game, and that was a consistent piece for as valuable as Josh Allen has been, and they've had other guys mixed in there, and for like Josh Allen is the guy who stirs the drink for the Jags D-line, and then Trayvon Walker being the first pick in the draft, like his name getting associated there. But they've had a good rotation, and they've had guys they've worked in there, like guys like Arden Key and stuff. But Smoot has been a consistent pocket compression dude off the edge. They reduce him inside on third downs. Like I don't think he will reach the level of Leonard Floyd last year, but this is a sneaky guy who could be like edge 4 or give you some edge 3 upside if he hits that. Now that he's a full year away.
His comp is Christian Cage in AEW.
Dude, I fucking love that comp. The Patriarch. Drew was talking about that earlier. When I came in, I knocked on the door. For those who don't know behind the scenes, I knock on the door, and Drew opens it. He goes, Anthony! And I go, Drew, what's up? He goes, bro, I love that Christian Cage is getting the shot at Swerve Strickland for the title at Double or Nothing. And I was like, oh, sorry, I didn't see Dynamite last night. And Drew goes, you didn't see Dynamite? And I was like, no, sorry. He goes, Anthony, come on, we watch Dynamite every week. And I was like, Drew, pump the brakes. And Drew was like, I've watched that Dynamite 17 times since it aired last night. So I think that comp is just spot on for Christian Cage, Dwayne Smoot. Nice comeback. Love it.
Now, here's what I love about Dwayne Smoot. We're so poor right now as a team. Guys, for those of you in the comments, I want to hear what you think about this. The Bills are so cash poor. We had to take his like sub $2 million guaranteed like money and then his signing bonus and spread it out over 5 years.
Oh, they did void years with it?
They did 5 years. They spread it out. It's literally like hundreds of thousands of dollars, not even
millions.
millions.
Pull up that Spot Track.
Go to Spot Track, pull up his contract structure. I believe what I saw on Twitter was that it goes over 5 years of void dollars.
You want Dwayne Smoot
for
specific?
Dwayne Smoot, yeah.
Yeah.
And what's hilarious about that is that there's poor and then there's poor.
Oh, they just haven't put it through there, yeah.
He has void money going all the way out to 2028.
Not a bad contract, though. But again, it's minimal because his cap, the contract is so small. But if you can spread it out,
But it's hilarious that they're like, let's put 4 void years. This is where Brandon Beane is just like, listen, I know how the cap works, but I'm not going to go like full Mickey Loomis. I'm not going to go full Loomis. Hey, never go full Loomis.
Never go full Loomis.
You never go full Loomis. So he just took a small chunk of money and made it that much smaller by spreading it over 5 years.
Well, you got to do what you got to do because you have to sign 17 more linebackers. So you need space for those linebackers.
Like Deion Jones. Why is he here?
Man,
can you help me understand?
Dude,
this?
there was a time, and I know a lot of people like echoed this sentiment. There was a time that Deion Jones was so sick. He's not that guy anymore that he was with Atlanta, but I wonder what worries me a little bit about this is, so you bring in Nicholas Morrow. That's already like your veteran linebacker guy.
I thought he was the veteran guy.
Yes.
And then they're like, oh, wait, we can get Deion Jones. It makes me wonder if they don't actually know what they're doing there.
No, that's not, well, fair. But I see the Morrow pick. I see the Ulofoshio, or the Morrow signing, the Ulofoshio pick, who I think is more of a special teamer. But then the Deion Jones signing, and then you add that with what they already have. It makes me worry about Matt Milano. Like, what his status will be or how they think he's trending. Maybe that's just the pessimist in me or like the worrisome person that
Wait, do you mean to tell me that he might be Ramon Humber 2.0, who might be the veteran we know isn't better than Matt Milano, but will play in front of him because
I just don't know how Milano's like tracking or trending, or it could be something else. It could be that they're out on Balin Spector, or
set a fire here inside this studio.
Or for so many people who think Dorian Williams was going to be the truth, maybe they're not happy with Dorian Williams and they don't think that he's ready, so they're trying to add more guys above him from a layering perspective because he's not ready, which is something. I mean, I guess that I'm maybe pushing that narrative for myself, but I think he had a longer trajectory than was talked about from fans. People saw the length and athleticism and were like, oh my God, this guy should start. And he's just not there mentally. It makes me think that there's either some kind of worry with Milano or Williams. Just with all the moves at linebacker, they've hit their, like, we made a joke about it. Like, they've hit it already where I feel like it's past the point of like, oh yeah, you need bodies for camp or you need bodies for the preseason. I feel like they're past that. Like, they keep bringing in, and like Morrow, I don't think he's amazing. Morrow started a ton of games last year for the Eagles. Deion Jones has starter reps under his belt, and you're bringing both of those guys in to be what? Because if Milano's healthy and Bernard is healthy, that's your linebacker 1 and linebacker 2. What's Deion Jones? Like, you have Jones, you have Morrow, you have Spector, you have Ulofoshio, you have Dorian Williams. Like, that's a lot of, like, moves at linebacker. Granted, they're cheap, so I guess you can say, like, you're kind of, I don't know, just like paying pennies to bring dudes in. But it makes me think that there's some larger move at play. Because Brandon Beane just doesn't do anything that isn't calculated to a degree.
I'm looking at the comments right now. Kyle the Beer Guy. That's like a Kmart layaway purchase for a 30-inch flat screen.
The Dwayne Smoot contract.
The Dwayne Smoot contract?
Damn, that's super accurate. Yeah, but if Smoot gets back to pre-Achilles injury, Dwayne Smoot, that's like a 75-inch flat screen. No, I shouldn't say that. Like a 55-inch.
I was going to say, don't get ahead of yourself.
Solid rope. No, like
look at the TVs in here.
I was going to say 75-inch, but it only broadcasts in like 720p. Like, it doesn't hit like full 1080p HD.
It has some pixels that are wrong.
It's got an antenna that you have to you have to hold it while you watch games to make it work. No, Dwayne Smoot, all jokes aside, like, is a legitimate, like, he's not going to be edge 1 or edge 2. Like, he's not some game wrecker, but he's a real solid role player if he can reach that pre-Achilles form. Like, I think that's a sneaky good signing. In the same conversation as the Leonard Floyd move. I think Floyd, I don't think he's going to hit that level of production or that ceiling, but I'm talking about the value and where you got him. Like, that could be someone where we're sitting there in week 10 or 11 being like, man, like, that Dwayne Smoot signing was like a good one.
So I guess the question we all have to walk away from this with is, so you've spent a little bit of money and you found a way to. Brandon Beane has done the thing where he rubbed a couple dimes together and made it a quarter, and found a way to grind out a couple useful players out of nothing in terms of 2024 cap hit.
Yes. Which is what you need to do when you pay your franchise quarterback and you're eating $30+ million of dead cap for Stephon Diggs.
51 million, baby. I was the guy over here. Like, we did a show and it was literally entitled Drew wants 26+ million dead money. And I was like, those are rookie numbers. You're going to pump those numbers up. I want more. And
Right there.
And there it is.
54-9.
$55 million in dead money.
Yeah, but how much of that is Diggs?
A ton.
30 play. It's 30 for Diggs, right? 31, 30 something. Where's all that dead cap coming from?
Oh,
God,
we
and
have
they're
a
only
lot.
second. Who's the first?
Yeah, Chris, go find who's the first in the NFL in dead money. So the idea is
Gotta be the Saints.
you've reset things. Now you have a chance to do what you did in 2018, but be more competitive. Where you can exist, but you can actually still fight for a playoff spot. Do you expect to compete for a division title with the talent that we've currently amassed?
I was going to ask you that question. I was going to say, who wins the AFC East in 2024?
And this is where I think this is a very interesting conversation that goes on over the course of the summer. How has this team equipped itself to compete in the AFC East race? Because really, that's all that matters. You try to compete for your division.
Yeah, that's step one.
I think we're undergunned when you're talking about what you could be on offense at least on offense. You are undergunned unless, as we talked about in our previous podcast, that there is a significant pivot to a new style of offense. And it'll be the biggest shift that this franchise has seen since 2019 to 2020.
And you need dudes like you need Kincaid to step up and be a guy. You need Keon Coleman to be a guy. You need Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel. Like,
yes,
your offensive line. You finally had some semblance of consistency at offensive line, and now you've not blown it up, but you've significantly altered it. They have to hit on their projections and their moves.
There's a lot up in the air right now. And so when you look at that and you say to yourself, okay, I knew what we were last year.
Yes.
I don't know how to project that forward. Well, I don't think that we can say we're a better or more stable offense than anybody. That's out the window.
In the AFC East.
There's your first place dead cap hit team.
Who is it? Minnesota? Oh, I would not have guessed that.
Wow.
Oh, $3 more million than the Bills. Really? Where's all their dead cap coming from?
Scroll to the bottom. Check this out.
I'm so shocked.
Kirk Cousins, $28 million.
I thought he was just straight up done. I knew Hunter.
And Danielle Hunter.
I knew Hunter, and I knew Davenport. Oh, Dalvin Cook. They're still paying for Dalvin Cook?
They're still paying Dalvin Cook.
Damn, wild. That's a fun but the AFC East conversation is one that is probably make people upset. Like, and I know they get injured every year. I've believed in the Jets for the past couple of years. Like, even when they had the year that they almost made the playoffs 2 years ago, when it was Wilson and White and Flacco, and they almost made the playoffs with how real that defense was, I thought that they would beat the Bills at least one of those games. Like, I just believed in their defense. And if they're healthy, granted that's an if, but so much of the Jets just gets written off as like laugh out loud Jets. Like, oh, ha, you brought in Tyron Smith. Ha, ha, you brought in Mike Williams. Ha, ha.
Well, some of it's their coaching.
Fair.
And some of it's their GM.
But their coaching isn't, Saleh's not as bad as people make him out to be. And I know Hackett is not good, but Hackett with Aaron Rodgers is extremely effective. Like, Rodgers won multiple MVPs with Hackett as his OC. Now, you could make that case for, oh, well, if I had Aaron Rodgers, I'd be a good OC. Regardless,
that's like saying Adam Gase was great because he was there as OC when Peyton Manning was good.
Fair. But at the end of the day, that guy...
Bad references. It's like Mr. Perfect with the coach. That's what it is.
You know that. You love those promos. You were talking about that to me earlier. I came in, I knocked on the door, and Drew was like, what's up, Anthony? I was like, hey, Drew, you ready to talk about Bills? You were like, no, I want to talk about those Mr. Perfect promos for the early 90s. I was like, Drew, whoa, wrestling already? I haven't even been in the door for 5 seconds. You were like, Anthony, listen, if there's one thing me, Andrew Gear, is known for, it's how much I fucking love wrestling. And then you rolled up your shirt and you had a wrestling tattoo on your arm. It was a ring with Macho Man Randy Savage dropping an elbow on Hulk Hogan. And I was like, whoa, Drew, that's a really cool thing.
So someone in the comments, Vita Vega, since 1999, the Colts and the Jets have won the AFC East the same amount of time.
That's super funny because the Colts are no longer in the AFC East. If the Jets stay healthy, and I know that's a significant if because they've just been cursed, and they also
they play on.
What's that?
And what they play on.
Yes, that field is an abomination. And the players, I mean, Mike Williams is consistently banged up. Tyron Smith has been banged up. Elijah Vera Tucker has been banged up, so on and so forth. Also, we don't know how Rodgers is going to come back from his injury. I think the Jets are a sneaky problem. I know the Dolphins are a laughing matter for a lot of Bills fans. They're still a team that's going to push like double-digit wins and could take a game from you. And the Pats, also kind of a joke for a lot of Bills fans, got better this year. Their defense is still real. They took a game from the Bills last year that they had no business taking with friggin' Mac Jones and that stupid
Coaching.
offense. Fair.
Hey,
Coaching.
there was a tweet put out, I think it was earlier this week, of the Miami Dolphins offense.
Mhm.
Who's stopping this? Our good friend Brett Coleman retweeted that with winter.
I'll say weather. That's good.
Yeah.
Their offense just doesn't, and that's where the weather piece comes in. And I think is more than just like a joke. Tua's arm doesn't play in the wind, in the snow, in those playoff conditions, and that's not the end of the world. But that means you have to get home field advantage, or if you don't, we talked about it in the pod earlier. Run the ball. Like, you have a good running offense. I don't know why you're not running the football.
Mike McDaniel is allergic to running the ball.
But no, he shouldn't be. He comes from the Shanahan tree. The whole offense is predicated on the run setting up the pass.
But he's smarter than all of them.
I think he got too cute. But see, now here's the thing that, like, and maybe this is just, again, the paranoid person in me. If McDaniel smartens up, he's already legitimately, regardless of what Bills fans think, like one of the best offensive minds in football. If he smartens up and stops getting too cute, then that offense potentially gets a little scary. They've added more pieces. Now, the problem is, like, Teron Armstead can never stay healthy, and he's such a significant piece of their offensive line.
The number one offense in the NFL during the regular season ran into the Kansas City Chiefs in the postseason and scored 7 points.
Fair. But they were also, I mean, within that.
But this is who you are
Right.
every single
But
season.
within that too, like Waddle was hurt. He's usually not hurt. Armstead was hurt. He usually does. Hill was banged up.
Okay, and guess what? This is football.
No, but what I'm saying is that team is still going to be a team that could take a game from you and is still going to push
Sure.
double-digit wins. Now, are they a team come playoff time that everyone's going to be like, you know what? I'm betting on Miami. No, but that's still a team that could hang 30 on you in a regular season game or threaten you to a degree that it takes one. And that, with the Bills team, to your point, means more this year because of the schedule they're going to have. Granted, we don't know what the teams are going to be, but what are projected versus what they were last year. But in a year where they're potentially more vulnerable than they ever have been in these last several years since they started winning the division, every loss matters.
Yep.
And so Miami, I don't think is a team at the end of the day where I'm going to sit there and be like, you know what? Super Bowl contender in this Miami squad. No, but they're a game that could take one from they're a team that could take one from you in the two meetings during the regular season. And that could be the difference between being in the division winner or the 6th seed or the 7th seed or something like that.
And this is it.
And that's
So
the piece.
what do
we
you-
go to Alf?
Oh no,
Alf?
Alf's
Yeah.
comment was great.
Alf,
The puppet?
yeah. No, Alf Artiaga could derail our chat the way Drew does to #sports. You guys did see Tua and his offense put up 29 and 22 degree
That was right.
weather and snow versus a very good Bills team. The cold stuff, overblown.
So the idea is they keep investing in the offense, and the Bills just keep grinding out the must-have game.
Mm.
Where does that road end? And in a year where our GM is pissing on our leg and trying to tell us it's raining, where he's like, "Well, we're reimagining," or what are all the other corporate buzzwords you use when you're
Synergy.
Synergy. We're revamping our synergy, and you go, no. I see what you're doing. You're resetting the cap because you want to have another 3-year window. Well, Josh is still in his prime where your cap is flush, and yet you still have a bunch of talented players on the team potentially who aren't getting paid.
Mhm.
That's what we've done. This influx of players we just talked about don't matter. They're all throwaways.
No, that's my thing with Chase Claypool. Like, I know people are up in arms about him.
He's a
But-
throwaway.
He doesn't, like, he's not going to be wide receiver 2. Like, who cares?
But we now live in the world where we're throwing away guys who weren't good, but we're signing them and they weren't good, and we're signing them, giving them a chance. Like, that's a problem. It speaks to the state of your current roster. Now, what I'll say is there's a lot to be sorted out in terms of philosophically what this team's going to be. Doesn't mean it can't win. It just means it got harder.
Yeah.
For 1 year.
Yeah.
Everyone Chris needs to take a deep breath and say it with me. A goose fraba.
All we're doing is trying to build a family here, like Don Callis.
Nice. The Don Callis family.
Trying to build.
You get
I
yourself
hate
you get
you.
yourself a Will Ospreay, you get yourself a Kyle Fletcher, a
I
Will
hate
Hobbs.
this. I'm going to flip this table.
You're gonna sit now. See, this is where I think you're putting on for the people. I showed up earlier today and knocked on the door, and you opened. And you were like, Anthony, have you seen how just the trajectory for the Don Callis family? And you were like, Anthony, since Kyle Fletcher's been with the Don Callis family, he's losing like every match. He was with Aussie Open. Him and Mark Davis were a tremendous tag team in New Japan. They come to AEW, and he's in singles, and he's really taken off. Also, he's dating Sky Blue, which is a tremendous thing for him, but he's losing match after match. And you said to me, you go, Anthony, even though he's in his early 20s, do you think he can recover from having all these losses? And we talked about it, even though I didn't want to because I don't really watch wrestling. But you talked about that earlier with the Don Callis family. You remember that?
All I know is if there's a note that I want to end the show on, it's something Oliver said earlier where he was like, this will they be good, won't they be good? Isn't that just the Bills' experience?
Oh, that's actually really...
Guys, we're right in it. Welcome back to the show.
Welcome to Buffalo.
Welcome to the show. I love it.
Who wins the AFC East in 2024?
Absolutely the Buffalo Bills.
Okay, absolutely.
Hey, Elf, it's absolutely the Buffalo Bills. Guys, I can't wait to do a whole summer of shows with Elf, with Scott Mason, Christian from over
Christian Cage? The Patriarchy? You're going to get Christian Cage on this show? You guys, whoa!
No, Christian Simonelli, Patriots fan extraordinaire. Just a whole bunch of stuff talking about the AFC East. But I'll say this. I think for tonight, I think we've said a lot. It's time to go.
As always, the show brought to you by Pepsid AC.
Shout out to Mango Peach
If
Kolsch.
if you have gastritis, which
That's right.
I found out early this morning at 1 a.m. that I now suffer from, get yourself some Pepsid AC. It gets the job done.
It's ridiculous that the last two times I've been here, you had ER visits that same week. Like, all jokes aside, like that's...
It's not ridiculous. He's soft.
Oh, wow.
He wants... Okay.
Oh, you mean, you're talking soft, like, you mean
Before
like Enzo Amore?
Before we end the stream,
SAWFT?
Hugo Carmona, Bills fan extraordinaire, one of our favorite listeners,
Sounds like a mob boss.
Portuguese guy. Like,
I like it.
he goes, I got sick with COVID, and I was trying to rebuild my strength back. He goes, on day 4 of being sick with COVID, I managed to do 50 push-ups over the course of one day.
That's right.
So I looked at Chris, and I go, we were in his old apartment before he'd ever moved in with his current wife, before we ever had the studio, before any of this existed.
Sorry from the
And I go, Chris, can you do 20 push-ups? And he goes, I can do 20 push-ups. He got to 13 and pulled a muscle in his neck.
Oh, no.
He got to 13 and pulled a muscle in his neck.
Neck injuries are serious. You were talking to me earlier about the neck injury from Edge that he overcame, and now he's Adam Copeland, TNT champion, AEW. You were talking to me earlier about. I knocked on the door. I came in, and you were like, man, you see this run that Cope is on?
I like how someone came into the chat and said someone named Tom Bodette will not leave the light on for him.
Tom Bodette? That's the Motel 6
I
commercial
know.
guy. Nice.
Like, there's random shit. Just like,
nice.
I love our comments.
Nice
I
pull.
love what we're cultivating here, guys.
We're Motel 6. We'll leave
This
the
has
light
been
on
a
for you.
great show. I love this. I love you guys in the chat. Thank you guys for showing up. But for tonight, we got to get the hell out of here. I'm Drew Gear. That's Chris Kruger with Heartburn. That's a guy who loves a mango beer. It's disgusting. And I'm your host. We got to get the hell out of here. This has been your Rockpile Report. Good night.